North Korean soldiers, long hardened by the grueling conditions of their homeland, are now grappling with a battlefield reality in Ukraine that many claim is even more harrowing than the infamous labor camps of Kim Jong Un's regime. Reports emerging from the Russia-Ukraine conflict reveal a startling truth. These troops, deployed to bolster Russian forces, are enduring combat experiences so devastating that they outstrip even the most oppressive hardships they have faced back home. This unprecedented military collaboration has sent shockwaves through the international community, sparking outrage and raising profound questions about the humanitarian implications of such alliances. But what does it mean when soldiers, conditioned to survive the cruelty of one of the world's most repressive regimes, find the horrors of modern warfare even worse? Are North Korea's labor camps truly the benchmark of human suffering, or does this revelation shed light on the unrelenting brutality of today's war zones? The accounts of these soldiers offer a rare and haunting glimpse into the desperation driving Russia's military strategy and the unimaginable plight of North Korean troops thrust into a conflict for which they are woefully unprepared. If you support these North Korean soldiers should return to their country and Russia should stop the war in Ukraine, please comment 1. And now we will learn about the difficulties that the North Korean army faces on the battlefield. Recent intelligence reports reveal that Russia has deployed approximately 10,000 North Korean soldiers, including elite Storm Corps units, to support their military operations in Ukraine. The battlefield reality these troops face has proven far more challenging than anticipated, with South Korean intelligence confirming 1,100 North Korean casualties in recent engagements. The stark contrast between North Korean military preparation and modern warfare requirements has become evident on the Ukrainian front. North Korean forces primarily trained for infiltration and infrastructure sabotage, coup prevention operations, traditional mass mobilization tactics, and basic infantry operations without modern technology. The North Korean troops face significant operational hurdles in Ukraine's combat environment. Communication has emerged as a critical weakness, with soldiers struggling to coordinate effectively due to language barriers, despite receiving basic Russian military terminology training. Their deployment was notably rushed, with minimal preparation for modern warfare techniques, particularly in drone operations and contemporary battlefield technology. The human cost of this military venture has been severe. Beyond the confirmed 1,100 casualties, reports indicate that North Korean forces are being used in high-risk meat assaults across open territory. While these soldiers demonstrate remarkable physical endurance and psychological resilience, their lack of combat experience in modern warfare has resulted in significant losses. The situation has become so concerning that Ukrainian forces have documented multiple instances of North Korean casualties through drone footage, particularly in the snow-covered fields of Kursk. Despite their reputation for enduring harsh conditions, these elite troops find themselves overwhelmed by the technological sophistication of modern combat, with Ukrainian forces effectively targeting them using advanced drone warfare techniques. Military analysts note that while North Korean soldiers possess strong mental fortitude and can withstand severe physical hardships, these attributes have proven insufficient against Ukraine's modern military capabilities. The deployment has exposed critical gaps in North Korea's military preparedness, particularly in adapting to contemporary warfare methods emphasizing technological superiority over traditional infantry tactics. Studies examining North Korean detention facilities reveal severe psychological trauma among detainees, with 24.3% of surveyed individuals reporting imprisonment experiences and 47.7% exposed to inhumane treatment. These conditions now stand in stark contrast to the unprecedented challenges these soldiers face on Ukrainian battlefields. Research indicates that North Korean detention facilities inflict lasting psychological damage through systematic abuse and forced witnessing of public executions. Mental health assessments show significant correlations between imprisonment experiences and post-traumatic stress disorder, particularly among those exposed to beatings and torture. The harsh reality of modern warfare has claimed hundreds of North Korean lives in Ukraine's Kursk region. These soldiers, despite their elite status, face devastating challenges. North Korean soldiers have to fight against enemy drones, which they may not have been exposed to in their home country. In addition, the language barrier is also a disadvantage for these soldiers. In a short time, they only learn the minimum short sentences to coordinate with the Russian army on the battlefield. Another difficulty for North Korean soldiers is the difference in military doctrine between the two countries. In addition, the unfamiliar terrain is also the reason why the casualty rate of North Korean soldiers is always at an alarming level. While both situations inflict severe trauma, the psychological impact differs significantly. Labor camp survivors exhibit specific post-traumatic stress disorder patterns linked to systematic abuse, whereas soldiers in Ukraine face acute combat stress compounded by technological warfare and cultural isolation. The Ukrainian military's psychological warfare campaign, I Want to Live, specifically targets these vulnerabilities, offering surrender options through Korean language leaflets and videos. Military analysts note a crucial difference. While labor camps represent a known evil with established survival patterns, the Ukrainian battlefield presents unpredictable threats that challenge North Korean soldiers' training and psychological preparation. South Korean intelligence reports that these troops entered combat knowing only basic Russian military terms like open fire and artillery, creating a profound sense of isolation and vulnerability. The psychological toll manifests differently in each context. Labor camp survivors report long-term anxiety and paranoia, while battlefield survivors face immediate trauma from witnessing mass casualties and experiencing technological warfare beyond their training scope. Ukrainian President Zelensky's warning that North Korean troops would become cannon fodder has proven prophetic, with hundreds of casualties reported in recent engagements. Some experts suggest that the battlefield environment may present opportunities for escape that labor camps do not. Ukrainian intelligence has reported instances of North Korean soldiers deserting their positions, indicating that despite the horrors of combat, some view it as a potential path to freedom, an option not available in North Korean detention facilities. The integration of North Korean troops into Russian military operations has revealed severe cultural and operational challenges that threaten combat effectiveness. Recent intelligence reports highlight a concerning pattern of miscommunication and coordination failures between the Allied forces. Communication breakdowns have led to deadly consequences on the battlefield. In a recent incident, North Korean forces opened fire on Russian military vehicles in Kursk, resulting in 8 Russian casualties due to language barrier confusion. The Russian military's attempt to bridge this gap by providing one interpreter for every 30 North Korean soldiers has proven inadequate. Intercepted communications reveal Russian commanders' frustration, with one stating they have no fucking clue how to manage their North Korean counterparts. North Korean soldiers encounter substantial difficulties adapting to modern warfare's demands, as their training and experience are often ill-suited to the complexities of contemporary combat scenarios. Military analysts have identified a range of critical challenges hindering their effectiveness. One major issue is their limited exposure to advanced combat capabilities and modern tactical approaches, leaving them ill-prepared to navigate the intricacies of current battlefield environments. Additionally, these soldiers face significant obstacles in absorbing lessons from ongoing engagements, as communication barriers impede the flow of crucial information and guidance necessary for real-time adaptation. Compounding these difficulties is their struggle to comprehend and execute Russian military procedures and protocols, which are often unfamiliar and require a level of coordination and understanding that exceeds their training. The situation is further exacerbated by the Russian command's strategic preference for deploying North Korean troops in infantry-led frontal assaults. This role demands brute force rather than nuanced operational skills. This reliance on rudimentary tactics limits their integration into more sophisticated military operations and underscores the profound challenges they face in transitioning to a modernized approach to warfare. North Korean troops experience profound isolation within Russian military units. Their exposure to the outside world presents unprecedented challenges for both Moscow and Pyongyang. This isolation stems from cultural differences in military training and discipline, limited social interaction due to language barriers, and restricted access to communication tools compared to Russian counterparts. Military experts note that North Korean soldiers' exposure to Russian troops' relatively higher living standards and access to mobile phones and social media platforms creates additional tension. This cultural shock has led some analysts to predict potential defections, as these soldiers realize the stark differences between their restricted lives and the relative freedoms of their Russian counterparts. The situation has become so problematic that Russian military leadership has implemented basic Russian language training, focusing on approximately 100 key military terms. However, South Korean intelligence reports indicate that North Korean soldiers struggle significantly with this linguistic challenge. Combat operations require precise, constant communication, and basic vocabulary proves insufficient for coordinating complex military maneuvers. Recent battlefield reports from Ukraine's Kursk region paint a grim picture of survival among North Korean troops. Military intelligence confirms approximately 30 North Korean soldiers were killed or wounded during a single weekend of combat operations. Former North Korean military personnel provide sobering insights into the combat situation. Lee Wong-gil, a former Storm Corps member, notes that many young soldiers view their deployment as an honor, unaware of the lethal reality awaiting them. The battlefield experience has proven particularly deadly, with South Korean intelligence reporting over 1,000 North Korean casualties in recent operations. North Korean troops have devised several strategies to endure the harsh and unforgiving conditions of modern combat, though their efforts often highlight the considerable challenges they face. According to reports from Ukrainian intelligence, these soldiers must navigate a combat environment characterized by prolonged periods of waiting between operations, during which they are left vulnerable to both physical and psychological strain. This downtime is further exacerbated by exposure to psychological warfare messages aimed at undermining their morale and creating disorientation. In addition to these challenges, North Korean troops struggle to adapt to the complexities of Russian military systems, which are unfamiliar and require operational methods that differ significantly from their standard training. To cope with these conditions, the soldiers have adopted a survival strategy that emphasizes operating in small, tightly coordinated units. While this approach helps foster cohesion within their ranks, it also creates complications when interacting with Russian forces due to persistent communication barriers, which limit their ability to coordinate effectively in joint operations. Military analysts have observed that in the face of these challenges, North Korean soldiers often fall back on their basic training protocols. However, this reliance on rudimentary methods leaves them ill-equipped to contend with modern warfare's sophisticated and rapidly evolving tactics. Consequently, while their survival strategies provide some measure of resilience, they are insufficient to bridge the gap between their traditional training and the demands of contemporary combat environments. Ukraine's I Want to Live project has become a crucial lifeline for North Korean soldiers seeking alternatives to combat. The program offers comfortable accommodation and warm meals, medical services and shelter, opportunities for a new life, and financial support for fresh starts. The initiative has gained traction through targeted messaging, including Korean-language videos showcasing prisoner-of-war facilities and highlighting the contrast with conditions in North Korea. Ukrainian officials report that some North Korean soldiers view their deployment as an unexpected opportunity to escape the regime. Military intelligence confirms that at least 3 North Korean servicemen went missing from their positions in Kursk, while others have responded to Ukraine's psychological warfare campaign. The program's effectiveness stems from its understanding that many soldiers see their deployment as a rare chance to flee North Korea's oppressive system. Recent reports indicate that surviving North Korean troops face rotation or replacement, suggesting Pyongyang's commitment to maintaining its military presence despite mounting casualties. This development has intensified Ukraine's efforts to encourage surrender through targeted communication campaigns and promises of humane treatment. Families of North Korean soldiers deployed to Ukraine face intense scrutiny and complex consequences at home. The state's security apparatus has implemented unprecedented measures to monitor these families, creating a web of surveillance that extends from their homes to their workplaces. North Korea's State Security Department maintains round-the-clock monitoring of soldiers' families through multiple channels. The surveillance system includes local police station monitoring, workplace supervision through party officials, phone tapping and communication interception, mandatory daily activity reporting, and informant networks in neighborhoods. Security agencies require family members to report their movements to local police whenever they leave their houses or go to work. The surveillance has intensified particularly for families with relatives who are Workers' Party members or government engineers. The economic impact on soldiers' families presents a contradictory picture. Some reports indicate that successful service in Russia could bring significant benefits, with soldiers potentially earning between $1,200 to $2,400 annually. These earnings represent a substantial increase compared to the average monthly wage of less than $1,000 for ordinary North Korean workers. However, the reality often differs from these promises. While the Russian government allegedly offers $2,000 monthly per soldier, approximately 90% of this amount goes directly to the North Korean treasury. Some families receive privileged treatment, including access to better housing, entrance opportunities to prestigious universities, and permission to relocate to Pyongyang. The social implications for these families vary dramatically based on their soldiers' performance and loyalty. The government has reportedly isolated distressed family members of deployed troops to maintain domestic control. Those whose relatives attempt to escape face severe consequences, including the authorities have classified families of deserters as hostile forces, resulting in their forced relocation to rural areas or assignment to hard labor in factories and mines. Children of these families face restrictions on entering college or joining the military, while parents may be dismissed from responsible positions. The state's response to potential defections remains particularly harsh, with entire families placed under enhanced surveillance by the National Security Agency. These measures aim to prevent both escape attempts and communication with the outside world, effectively isolating these families within their communities. Russia's military strategy of deploying North Korean troops has revealed significant operational weaknesses. The Pentagon confirms approximately 10,000 North Korean troops entered Russia's Kursk region, marking an unprecedented military collaboration that has faced numerous tactical challenges. The deployment of North Korea's elite storm corps has proven problematic due to rushed implementation and inadequate preparation. South Korean intelligence reports indicate these troops, while highly trained in their homeland, lack an understanding of contemporary warfare methods. Their deployment was so hastily executed that proper integration into Russian military operations became nearly impossible. Russian commanders have attempted to utilize these forces in a variety of roles, including infantry operations on the front lines, artillery support, combat engineering, and construction or maintenance tasks. Despite wearing Russian uniforms and carrying standard-issue equipment, North Korean troops face significant resource constraints. Reports indicate that they frequently operate with minimal ammunition for anti-tank weapons, only basic ACT-12 rifles and RIP-Peak machine guns, limited access to night vision devices, and inadequate tools for drone warfare. While some modern equipment, such as thermal imagers and night vision devices, has been distributed, availability is inconsistent across units, further complicating their operations. The Russian military has provided some modern equipment, including thermal imagers and night vision devices, but distribution remains inconsistent across units. The most critical failure in this military strategy stems from severe communication problems between Russian and North Korean forces. Intercepted audio messages reveal Russian commanders' frustration with their North Korean counterparts, referred to as the K Battalion, expressing uncertainty about proper deployment and coordination. The language barrier is particularly detrimental, as North Korean soldiers reportedly possess only a rudimentary grasp of Russian military vocabulary, limited to roughly 100 terms. This lack of linguistic proficiency hinders the coordination of complex combat operations, leads to delays in responding to critical battlefield developments, and increases the likelihood of devastating friendly fire incidents. Military analysts emphasize that successful combat operations require constant, specific communications, not just basic directional commands. The Russian military's attempt to address this through translators and basic vocabulary training has proven insufficient for modern warfare's complex requirements. The situation has deteriorated to the point where communication failures have led to tragic consequences. In one documented incident, North Korean troops accidentally engaged Russian forces, resulting in multiple casualties due to misidentification and communication confusion. These incidents highlight the fundamental flaws in Russia's strategy of rapidly deploying foreign troops without adequate preparation or integration protocols. Military experts note that while North Korean soldiers demonstrate high morale and physical endurance, their effectiveness is severely compromised by these strategic and tactical shortcomings. The rushed deployment, combined with inadequate equipment and communication infrastructure, has created a military force that struggles to achieve its intended combat objectives. Ukraine's military intelligence has launched an unprecedented psychological warfare campaign targeting North Korean soldiers deployed in Russia, marking a significant shift in battlefield tactics. The I Want to Live project, initially created for Russian troops in 2022, has successfully facilitated the surrender of 350 Russian soldiers. The Ukrainian military's Psychological Operations Center has developed a comprehensive surrender campaign in the Korean language. The program includes detailed surrender instructions through leaflets, video messages showing prisoner of war facilities, QR codes for direct communication, hotline numbers for immediate assistance, and promises of food, shelter, and medical care. The leaflets specifically instruct North Korean soldiers to lie face down, hold up white sheets, and drop their weapons when surrendering. Ukrainian intelligence regularly drops these materials along the front lines, particularly in the Kursk region where approximately 10,000 North Korean troops are stationed. Pyongyang has implemented a dual messaging strategy regarding the Ukraine conflict. For external audiences, North Korean media quickly aligned with Russia's position, supporting the invasion within days. However, domestic coverage remained notably silent until March 2023, more than a year after the war began. The regime's careful approach to domestic messaging reflects deep concerns about information control. While external platforms openly support Russia's special military operation, internal media maintain strict limitations on war coverage. This strategic divide became more pronounced after Foreign Minister Xu Sun-hui visited Russia in January 2024, which led to increased domestic coverage of the conflict. The psychological warfare campaign aimed at North Korean soldiers fighting alongside Russian forces, has demonstrated notable success in undermining their morale and resolve. Experts in military strategy suggest that these troops are particularly susceptible to psychological operations during the long stretches of inactivity that often punctuate combat deployments. These periods of downtime leave the soldiers with ample time to reflect on their hardships, making them more receptive to targeted messaging that contrasts their current circumstances with alternative possibilities. Ukrainian intelligence has skillfully exploited this vulnerability, crafting a psychological campaign designed to sow doubt and disillusionment among the North Korean ranks. Central to their approach is the emphasis on the humane treatment and opportunities awaiting those who defect or surrender. Broadcasts and leaflets highlight the stark contrast between the harsh conditions endured on the battlefield and the relative comfort of life as a prisoner of war under Ukrainian custody. Specific details are provided to make this prospect more tangible, including assurances of 3 well-balanced daily meals featuring meat and fresh vegetables, accommodations in clean and humane facilities, and the potential for a fresh start far removed from the oppressive constraints of the North Korean regime. This targeted messaging not only preys on the soldiers' physical exhaustion and emotional strain, but also appeals to their innate desire for a better life. By presenting a compelling alternative to their current plight, the campaign has effectively eroded their commitment to the cause and fostered an atmosphere of distrust and dissatisfaction within their ranks. Such tactics underscore the critical role psychological operations play in modern warfare, where breaking the enemy's will to fight can be as decisive as achieving victory on the battlefield. A significant development emerged when a group of 200 North Korean military defectors, currently residing in South Korea, offered their expertise to enhance Ukraine's psychological warfare efforts. These veterans, each with 7 to 10 years of military experience, understand the psychological state and cultural nuances of North Korean soldiers. The effectiveness of these psychological operations is amplified by the soldiers' exposure to unfamiliar combat conditions. Ukrainian intelligence reports indicate that many North Korean troops, including those from elite units, suffer from malnutrition and lack proper combat training for modern warfare. This physical vulnerability, combined with targeted psychological pressure, has created significant stress among the deployed forces. Recent intelligence suggests that some North Korean soldiers view their deployment as a potential escape route from the regime. Vitaly Matvienko, a volunteer with the I Want to Live project, notes that their understanding of North Korean living conditions helps create more effective surrender messaging. The program's success has led to expanded efforts, with additional videos featuring North Korean defectors planned for future release. The deployment of North Korean troops to Ukraine has triggered profound changes in global security dynamics, marking a significant shift in international relations. 10 countries in the European Union have officially labeled North Korea's involvement as a dangerous expansion of the conflict. The performance of North Korean forces in Ukraine has severely undermined the nation's military prestige. Intelligence reports confirm over 1,000 North Korean casualties in initial engagements, exposing critical weaknesses in their combat readiness. This unprecedented casualty rate has raised serious questions about the effectiveness of North Korea's elite units, particularly the Storm Corps, whose training proved inadequate for modern warfare. Military analysts attribute these failures to 3 primary factors. First, North Korean forces have struggled to adapt to modern forms of warfare, particularly drone and trench-based strategies that dominate the battlefield in Ukraine. Second, their integration with Russian command structures has been fraught with miscommunication and logistical inefficiencies, further diminishing their operational effectiveness. Finally, the troops' preparation for combat has been starkly insufficient, with outdated training protocols ill-suited to the high-tech, fast-paced nature of modern engagements. Together, these shortcomings have not only undermined their performance, but also exposed the limitations of North Korea's military doctrines in an era of rapidly evolving warfare technologies. The consequences of this deployment extend beyond the battlefield, with diplomatic repercussions reverberating across the globe. A coalition of major powers, including the United States, Japan, and European nations, has united in condemning North Korea's military involvement in Ukraine. This coordinated international response has manifested in several forms. Joint condemnations by at least 10 nations in the European Union have amplified global criticism, while enhanced monitoring efforts by the United States and South Korea aim to track and counter the growing military partnership between Russia and North Korea. Additionally, NATO and Ukrainian military responses reflect a broader strategic realignment to address the implications of this unexpected alliance. South Korea, in particular, has expressed deep concern over the escalating ties between Pyongyang and Moscow. The South Korean government has characterized this development as a grave security threat to regional stability, with President Yoon Suk-yeol's administration warning of phased countermeasures to mitigate the risks of what it describes as increasing military collusion. This strong stance highlights the broader geopolitical stakes of North Korea's involvement in Ukraine and signals a heightened resolve among its adversaries to curtail the nation's influence in global military conflicts. The alignment with Russia has fundamentally altered North Korea's diplomatic positioning. Kim Jong Un's regime has shifted from its traditional reliance on China, potentially reducing Beijing's moderating influence over Pyongyang. This strategic realignment carries several implications. The partnership with Russia has provided North Korea with unprecedented leverage in international relations. Following the collapse of negotiations with Washington during the Trump administration, this new alliance offers Mr. Kim rare opportunities to chart a different diplomatic course. However, this realignment comes with significant risks, as evidenced by the international community's strong response to North Korean involvement in Ukraine. Military experts suggest that North Korea's decision to send troops mirrors South Korea's historical strategy during the Vietnam War, where Seoul committed troops to strengthen its alliance with the United States. However, the current situation differs significantly, as North Korea faces universal condemnation rather than strategic support from major powers. The deployment has also affected North Korea's nuclear ambitions. While the North has conducted 6 nuclear tests and launched several intercontinental ballistic missiles, it still faces technological hurdles in developing weapons capable of reaching U.S. targets. The partnership with Russia may provide access to advanced military technology, though this remains speculative. Recent developments indicate a hardening of North Korea's strategic position against South Korea. The regime has taken steps to redefine inter-Korean relations, making it easier to justify potential military actions against South Korea, which it now officially designates as its principal enemy. This shift in rhetoric, combined with repeated calls for war preparations, suggests a more aggressive posture in regional relations. The international community has expressed particular concern about the potential transfer of sensitive military technologies from Russia to North Korea. This technology transfer could accelerate North Korea's weapons development programs, potentially destabilizing the Asia-Pacific region. The United States and its allies have warned about any political, military, or economic support that Russia might provide to North Korea's illegal weapons programs. North Korean soldiers' deployment to Ukraine stands as a stark testament to modern warfare's brutal reality, surpassing even the notorious hardships of their homeland's labor camps. Their experience reveals critical failures in military strategy, with a lot of casualties highlighting the devastating cost of unprepared forces facing advanced combat technology. Russian-North Korean military cooperation has backfired spectacularly, exposing severe operational weaknesses while subjecting soldiers' families to unprecedented surveillance and social pressure at home. What do you think about the role of such alliances in modern conflicts? Can these military partnerships survive when they lead to such catastrophic outcomes for both soldiers and their families? Share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching.